English medium organized by the Education Department of the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. Today, we are going to be studying for class 9. Subject is science, and the topic that we are going to be revising is the study of sound. Okay, it is a second session for the revision that we are continuing from yesterday. Okay, so first of all, let us recall the topics that we had revised yesterday, right? So these topics are definition of sound, properties of sound waves, longitudinal waves, transverse waves, characteristics of sound waves, velocity of sound, variation in velocity of sound, then the types of sound, that is audible sound, infrasound, ultrasound, and then concepts relating to the reflection of sound, that is echo and reverberation. Okay, now let us briefly revise what we had done. So sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears. Okay, so sound energy travels in the form of waves, and a medium is necessary for the propagation of sound waves. So that means for sound to travel, it requires a medium that can be a solid or a liquid or a gas. So in a perfect vacuum, sound will not travel. That means in space, in outer space, sound will not travel. Okay, then sound waves give rise to a chain of compressions and rarefactions in the medium. Okay, compressions are regions of high pressure and rarefactions are regions of low pressure. So if you can observe, the particle just vibrates at its mean position from left to right. Okay, and you can see the wave is traveling from left to right. Then, by the way, one more important concept that we had studied was about the transverse wave and a longitudinal wave. So the wave that you can see here, it is a longitudinal wave. That is the top wave. The bottom wave that is shown in blue color, it is a transverse wave. Okay, it is just a visualization of the wave. Then, now, velocity of sound. So the distance covered by a point on the wave in unit time is the velocity of sound. We know that velocity is given as distance per unit time. So any point on the wave covers a distance equal to lambda, that is a wavelength, in time t, that is a time period. Thus, the velocity is given by v equals to nu into lambda. Okay, now we know that 1 by t, that is 1 by time period, equals to the frequency of the wave. Okay, so hence velocity can also be written as wavelength upon time period. Hence, velocity of sound is equal to the wavelength upon the time period, that is lambda upon t. So these are the certain formulas that we will be making use today for solving some numericals. Okay, then we have studied about the variation in velocity of sound, right? So the variation in velocity with temperature is what? Velocity of sound is directly proportional to the square root of the temperature, right? Then variation in density is velocity is directly proportional or inversely proportional to the square root of density, and also velocity is inversely proportional to the square root of molecular weight. Now what does this means is, if the velocity of the sound, that means if the temperature increases by a factor of 4, the velocity will double. Okay, then next is what? The types of the sound that we had studied. Okay, so there are majorly 3 types of sounds. That is audible sound, which has a frequency from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Then you have infrasound, which has a frequency lower than 20 hertz. And then you have ultrasound, which has a frequency higher than 20,000 hertz. So as humans, we can only listen and hear to your audible sound frequencies that are within 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So any sound frequency below 20 hertz, that is infrasound, we cannot hear. Same way, any sound which has a frequency higher than 20,000 hertz, that also we cannot hear. Okay, then we had studied the concept of reflection of sound, right? Where the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection, as the sound waves also obey the laws of reflection. Okay, then the important concept relating to the reflection of sound was that of an echo. So an echo is a repetition of the original sound because of reflection from some surface. Okay, so at 22 degrees Celsius, the velocity of sound in air is 344 meters per second. So our brain retains this sound for 0.1 seconds. Thus, for us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 seconds after starting from the source to get reflected and come back to us. That means the distance travel will be from the source to the reflecting surface and then back again to the source. Okay, so we can calculate this distance as what? We can determine the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface as follows. Now, we know that distance equal to speed multiplied by time, right? So speed of the sound in air we know as 344 meters per second, right? And the time interval for which that sound is retained in our brain is 0.1 seconds. So the distance traveled, that means the minimum distance that the sound wave needs to travel will be 34.4 meters. So thus, to be able to hear a distinct echo, the reflecting surface should be at a minimum distance of half of the above, that is 17.2 meters, as the sound travels the back and forth motion, right? That is from the source to the reflecting surface and then back again to the source. Okay. Then the other concept, the other undesirable concept regarding the reflection of sound was that of reverberation. Okay. Now, sound waves get reflected from the walls and roof of a room multiple times. Repeated reflections of sound waves from walls combine to build up what seems like a continuous sound. This causes a single sound to be heard not once but continuously, and this is called as reverberation. So if you can look in the diagram, right, on the stage you can see there is a speaker, and on the right hand side you can see there is a listener standing. So when the speaker is talking or when he is generating a sound, the sound first of all travels in a straight path directly to the listener, but the sound also travels in all the possible directions, right? So sound travels upwards, sound travels backwards also, and thus the sound waves, they experience multiple reflections from different surfaces within the room or within the enclosed space, right? And the sound waves get reflected multiple times. But as the reflecting surfaces are at different distances from the source of the sound waves get reflected multiple times and they reach the listener after certain intervals of time. That means the same sound is heard by the listener continuously as the sound reaches the listener after certain intervals of time because of multiple reflections. And this phenomena is termed as reverberation. Okay. Now, today we are going to continue with the topics that we haven't seen or revised so far, right? So the first topic is that of sonar. Now, sonar is a short form for sound navigation and ranging. It is used to determine the distance, direction, and speed of an underwater object with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. Now, you should remember ultrasonic sound waves are the waves having a frequency greater than 20,000 hertz. Okay, so a sonar device has a transmitter and a receiver which are fitted on ships or on the boats. So if you can look at the diagram there, the ship has a transmitter fitted to the bottom on the left hand side, as you can see, right? So the transmitter transmits or generates ultrasonic sound waves which travel downwards towards the sea floor. Okay, then the sound waves or the ultrasonic sound waves get reflected from the ocean floor or the seabed and are transmitted back. So the reflected pulse is then received by the receiver, and there is a computerized device, the machine, the sonar device, then calculates the time required for the sound wave to get reflected back. Okay, and then if you know the velocity of sound in water, then you can calculate the distance that the sound wave has traveled, and hence we can calculate the depth of the ocean floor or depth of the seabed. Okay. Then, as you can see in the diagram here, the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves, right? These waves travel through the water, they strike underwater objects and are reflected by them. So the reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship. Okay, and then the device then calculates the time interval required for the sound waves to get reflected, and thus it can calculate the distance. Okay, then the receiver converts the ultrasonic sound into electrical signals, and these signals are properly interpreted. The time difference between transmission and reception is noted. This time and velocity of sound in water gives the distance from the ship of the object which reflects the waves. So there can be multiple objects which can reflect the sound waves. So the captain of the ship can determine if there is any underwater submarine, or if there is an underwater fish which the trawler can use to capture, right? So fishing vessels, they make use of the sonar devices to locate the position of fish shoals. Okay, so sonar is used to determine the depth of the sea and to search underwater hills, valleys, submarines, icebergs, then sunken ships, etc. Right. The most famous ship, the Titanic ship, was also located by this method of sonar. Okay. Then the next technique that uses the reflection of sound is a technique called as sonography. Now, sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of internal organs of the human body, right? So you might have heard whenever you go to a doctor and if you have some pain in your abdomen or in your stomach, the doctor sometimes advises the patient to undergo a sonography test. Now, a sonography test is done just to determine if there is any disease or if there is any swelling inside the abdomen, right? So now we will understand exactly how this procedure is done. This is useful, or the sonography technology or technique is useful in finding out the cause of swelling or any infection or pain, etc. in the abdominal body. The condition of the heart, the state of the heart after a heart attack, as well as the growth of the fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman are studied, and women are made to undergo periodic if the fetus is growing properly. Okay, then the sonography technique makes use of a probe and a gel. The gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that the full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. Now, if you look at the diagrams here, on the left-hand side, you can see the image of the sonography machine, right, which is there. And the sonography technician will make use of this machine. Okay. Then in the center image, you can see the probe, right? So during the examination procedure, there is a gel which is applied on the skin as well as on that probe so that the sound waves can be transmitted into the body effectively, right? And on the right hand side, you can see the image obtained on the sonography machine, right? So the sonography technician is a trained person who knows how to identify and look out for the various organs on the image. Okay, so they are trained professionals and they can determine if there is any swelling or if there is any formation of any kidney stone or any other ailment which the patient may have. Then we will now look at exactly how that procedure is carried out. The gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organ to be studied. So that means if the sonography of the abdomen is to be done or just above the stomach, then what is done is a gel is applied on the stomach and then the probe is moved over the stomach region and then that image is obtained. Okay. Then high frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. The sound reflected from the internal organs is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer which generates the images of the internal organ. So if you observe, if you understand this carefully, the probe, right, which we had seen, the image of the probe which we have seen, the probe has both the transmitter as well as the receiver. So if you can look at this diagram here in the center, right, the probe has a transmitter which transmits ultrasonic waves. Those ultrasonic waves that travel inside the body and get reflected from the waves are again captured by a receiver generates the image, right? So as this method is painless, it is increasingly used in medical practice for correct diagnosis. Diagnosis means to identify the problem or the disease which is there. Okay, so if you look at the image here on the right hand side, you can see that is the sonography, that is the image of the sonography procedure done on a pregnant woman. So you can see the image of the baby, you can see the skull, you can see the hands and the fingers, right? Okay, so that is how it is analyzed. Then one more important thing is sonography is a non-invasive method. That means no cuts are made. The patient is not given any anesthesia, right? So a sonography procedure is completed within 10 to 15 minutes, right? And the reports can be generated within half an hour. Okay, so within half an hour, a patient can get to know why there is pain or why is he suffering, right? So all the reports can be generated, right? And the diagnosis correctly can be made. Okay, then. Now, what we are learning is about the human ear, right? Now, here, the human ear is an important organ of the human body. We hear sounds because of our ear. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates. Now, those vibrations are converted into electrical signals which travel through the brain through the nerves. So if you can look at the diagram here, the human ear is divided into three main regions, right? On the left hand side, you can see the A, which is the outer ear. That is the outer region that we can see. Okay, it is called as a pinna. We will see that in detail. Then the second region or second part is your middle ear, which happens to have the eardrum, right? And the set of three bones. And then the section C, the third part is the inner ear, which happens to have the cochlea and also the nerves attached to the cochlea. Okay, so we are going to see and learn about the three divisions of the human ear. Okay, so the human ear can be divided into three parts. That is the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. So the outer ear has the outer ear, which is called as the pinna, then the auditory canal, right, from where the sound waves enter into the ear, and the third is the tympanic cavity, right, just before the eardrum. Then the middle ear contains the most important part, that is the eardrum, right, which vibrates as the sound waves reaches it. Then just behind the eardrum, there are a set of three bones, a chain of three bones, which are just in contact with the eardrum. So as the eardrum vibrates, right, these three set of bones, they also start vibrating. Okay, then, so in the middle ear is what we have the chain of three bones and the eardrum. Okay, now the inner ear happens to have the spiral shaped cochlea, right? Now this cochlea happens to convert those vibrations into electrical signals. And these electrical signals are then sent to the brain through the auditory nerves. Okay, now in the diagram also you can see the eustachian tube. Now that eustachian tube is a common tube which connects the nose, the throat, and our ear. Okay, so through the eustachian tube, all the three, they are connected together. Okay, now let us see and study the parts of the ear one at a time. So first, the outer ear or the pinna. The outer ear collects the sound waves and passes them through a tube through a cavity in the middle ear. Okay, so it is a peculiar funnel shape which helps to collect and pass sounds into the middle ear, right? So as you can see, the pinna, the function of the pinna is just to collect all the sound waves and direct them into the ear canal. And from the ear canal, the sound waves can go and strike onto the eardrum. Okay, so the most important function of the pinna is to collect, right, and channel the sound waves inside. Now, one important factor is what the human pinna, the human ear, the pinna is not movable. It is fixed. You cannot move it. But if you observe certain animals like dogs or cows, right, they have large pinna shapes which they can move. Okay, if you observe a dog will always keep on moving its ears, right? The pinna, outer pinna, the dog will keep on moving so that it can hear sounds from behind, from left, from right, from front, right? So that is how the auditory system in dogs is much more advanced because they have more movable pinna. Okay. But here we are studying only about the human ear. Okay. Next is the middle ear. Now there is a thin membrane cavity of the middle ear which is called as the eardrum. Eardrum, the pressure outside it increases and it gets pushed inwards. The opposite happens when a rarefaction reaches there. If you can remember, a compression is what? A high pressure region. So when a compression reaches the eardrum, what happens is because of the high pressure, it pushes the eardrum inwards. Okay. Okay. But after a compression, what happens? There is a rarefaction. So rarefaction is a region of a low pressure. So a low pressure will pull the eardrum outwards, right? So that means what? When the sound waves reach the eardrum in the form of compressions and rarefactions, the sound waves pass on to these compressions and rarefactions onto the eardrum in the form of a vibration, right? So compression causes the eardrum to move inwards. Rarefaction causes the eardrum to move outwards. Okay, so depending upon the frequency of the sound wave, the eardrum also vibrates with the same frequency of the sound wave. Okay, then the pressure outside decreases and the membrane gets pulled outward. As I've told you, the rarefaction causes the eardrum to be pulled outwards, right? So thus the sound waves cause vibration of the eardrum, which is the membrane. Okay, so you can imagine whenever a sound wave of any frequency, right now as I'm speaking to you, okay, my sound is transmitted onto you from the speakers of your device, of your mobile phones. Now, when the speaker generates the sound waves, they travel through the air, they enter in your ears, right? Now, the sound waves, when they are traveling, they travel in the form of compressions and rarefactions. When these compressions and rarefactions strike onto your eardrum also vibrates with the same frequency, right? Okay, and then what happens, we will study further. As you can see, look at these compressions, rarefactions reaching into the auditory canal, and then they are causing that eardrum to vibrate, right? As the eardrum starts vibrating, you can see the set of 3 bones just behind the eardrum, they also start vibrating. Okay, so it is a very important for us to understand. Then the next is what? The inner ear. The auditory nerve connects the inner ear to the brain. The inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail. It is called as a cochlea, right? So the inner ear has that shape which is like a spiral, just like a snail, the shell of a snail. Okay, and that is called as a cochlea. The cochlea receives the vibrations coming from the membrane and converts them into electrical signals which are sent to the brain through the auditory nerve. And the brain then analyzes these signals, right? So when the vibrations from the eardrum, they are passed onto the 3 bones, these 3 bones then pass on that vibration onto the cochlea, right? Now what the cochlea does is it amplifies the sound, right? And then it converts those sound waves into electrical signals. These electrical signals then are passed through a nerve, and that nerve is called as an auditory nerve. This auditory nerve sends the signals into the auditory lobe in our brain. Now, in our brain, there is a certain region, right, which works for the for hearing. That is called as an auditory lobe of the brain, and then we can hear or we can perceive the hearing sensation. Okay, so right, so these all were the things or concept that was related to the structure and working of our human ear. Okay, so what important is you need to be preparing this diagram 12.6 from the textbook. Okay, so that diagram can be asked, draw a neat label diagram of the human ear. Okay, then next was the numerics. Now there are certain numericals from the textbook which are omitted, which are for your syllabus. Okay, so look at the first numerical example, number 1. How long will it take for a sound wave of 25 centimeter wavelength and 1.5 kilohertz frequency to travel a distance of 1.5 kilometers, right? So the first thing that we are going to do is to write down what all variables are given to you. Okay, so the given variables are, the first one is the frequency, right? So the symbol for frequency is nu, right? It is given as 1.5 kilohertz. KHZ is kilohertz, right? Now 1 kilohertz is 1000 hertz, or you can write it as 10 raised to 3 hertz. Okay, so when we convert it to hertz, you will have to multiply 10 raised to 3, or you have to multiply 1000. So it will be 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 hertz. That will be 1500 hertz. Okay, then the wavelength that is given is lambda. The symbol for wavelength is lambda, and it is given as 25 centimeters. Now we have to convert all the variables into the SI system, standard system, right? And the SI system or the standard system, standard unit for measuring length is meter, right? And you know that 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters. So if you have to convert any value from centimeters to meters, you have to divide it by 100, right? So 25 centimeters, that will be equal to 25 divided by 100. That is equal to 0.25 meters. Okay. Then the question asked here is, how long will it take to travel a distance of 1.5 kilometers? Right. So the distance that you that has been given to you is 1.5 kilometers. Again, we have to convert that meters. So we multiply it by 1000. as 1 kilometer is 1000 meters, right? So that will be 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 meters, that is 1500 meters. Okay, and time that we need to calculate. Okay, so now let us look at the formula that we are using here. So first of all, we have to calculate the velocity of the sound. So velocity of the sound is equal to frequency into wavelength, as it is, as we have used it previously. So if you put in the formula, V equals to nu into lambda, right? So the value of nu is 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 hertz multiplied by the wavelength lambda is 0.25 meters, right? So if you multiply these values, what we get is 0.375 into 10 raised to 3, that equals to 375 meters per second, right? So here we have calculated the velocity of sound as 375 meters per second. Now, what we need to calculate is the time required for that sound wave to travel a distance of 1500 meters, right? So the next formula is what? Time is equal to distance upon velocity. Now we know the formula for velocity. Velocity is equal to distance upon time. So we have just rearranged this formula. Okay, so time t equals to s upon v. S is the distance traveled, right? That equals to 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 meters divided by 375 meters per second. So on solving this, it becomes 1500 divided by 375, that equals to 4 seconds. So the sound wave takes a time of 4 seconds to travel a distance of 1.5 kilometers. Please, students, always make a habit of writing down the answer in the form of a statement at the end of the numerical. Okay. Let us look at the next numerical, number 2. Ultrasonic sound waves are transmitted downwards into the sea with the help of a sonar. So you can imagine that there can be a ship, right, which is having a sonar device, and it is transmitting those sound waves downwards towards the ocean floor. Okay. So what they mentioned, that they are transmitting some ultrasonic sound waves, right? And it takes 4 seconds for the receiver to receive the echo from the ocean floor. What they are asking is, what is the depth of the sea at that place? And they have given one fact is, velocity of sound in water is 1550 meters per second. So as usual, first of all, we are going to write down what all are the given variables. Okay. So first is velocity of sound in sea water is equal to 1550 meters per second. Okay. Then time for the echo to be heard. Now, why we are calling it as an echo? Because sonar is a kind of an echolocation. Because once the sonar device transmits the sound, the ultrasonic sound travels downwards towards the ocean floor, gets reflected from the ocean floor and come back to the receiver. So it is a echo only. Okay. So time for the echo to be heard is 4 seconds. That means time taken by the sound waves to reach the bottom of the sea will be half of the time required for the echo to come back. That will be 4 divided by 2. That is 2 seconds. Okay. Then velocity of sound, we know that it is distance upon time. Okay. So they have asked us to calculate the distance of the sea floor. Okay. So distance is equal to velocity of sound multiplied by time. So velocity of the sound they have given as what? 1550. The required was what? 2 seconds, right? So there is a mistake here. It should be 4 divided by 2, or you can just take 2. So 1550 multiplied by 2 is equal to 3100 meters. So the depth of the sea at that place is 3100 meters. Students, please make a correction here. It should be 1550 into 2, or you can write 1550 into 4 upon 2. Okay, it is one and the same thing. Okay, then the next numerical is the exercise numerical, right? From the text back exercise, numerical 5A. Let us read the question first. The speed of sound in air at 0 degrees Celsius is 332 meters per second. Okay, so first given is there. Second, if it increases at the rate of 0.1 meters per second per degree, what will be the temperature when the velocity has increased to 344 meters per second? Now, this is an important example relating to the variation of the velocity of sound with temperature. Okay, so let us see what does the solution say. The speed of sound in air at 0 degrees Celsius is 332 meters per second. Okay, if it increases at a rate of 0.6 meters per second per degree, that means when the temperature increases from 0 degrees to 1 degrees, the velocity of sound will increase by 0.6. तो इसका मतलब क्या होता है? at 0 degrees Celsius, what is the velocity given? 332 meters per second, right? So at 1 degree Celsius, what will be the velocity? It will be 332 plus 0.6. That is 332.6. Right? When it goes from 1 degree to 1 more degree plus, that is 2 degrees पे जब temperature जाएगा, so it will increase by 0.6 again. So it will be what? 333.2 and so on. Okay, but they have asked the question, what way? What will be the temperature when the velocity is 344 meters per second? So we will convert this in the form of an equation. इसको हम लोग एक equation के form में convert करेंगे, right? So then you can see speed at x degrees Celsius, the temperature that we need to calculate equals to 332 plus 0.6, right? That means when temperature increases by 2 degrees, the velocity will increase by 0.6 multiplied by 2. When temperature increases by 4 degrees, velocity will increase by 0.6 multiplied by 4 degrees. That equation is like this. X speed at x degrees equal to 332 plus 0.6 x degrees. Okay. So thus, अभी हम लोग लिखेंगे speed at x degrees Celsius. What is the speed at that temperature? It is 344 meters per second. So 344 equals to 332 plus 0.6 x. So from this equation, you can calculate the value of x, right? So rearranging this, we get what? 344 minus 332 equal to 0.6x, right? So 344 minus 332 equal to 12. So 12 equal to 0.6x. Therefore, x is equal to 0.6, right? That means temperature has increased by 20 degrees Celsius. What was the initial temperature? 0 degrees Celsius. So final temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, right? So we got the answer here. So temperature of the air will be 20 degrees Celsius when the velocity of sound is 344 meters per second, right? Now let us look at the next numerical example, 5B from the exercise. What do we have here? Nita heard the sound of lightning 4 seconds after seeing it. Okay, so you might have observed such a phenomenon during the monsoon season, right? We hear the lightning. So when a lightning strikes, you happen to see the flash of the lightning first. And then after several seconds, you get to hear the sound. Now, the reason for this is sound travels very slowly in the air at 344 meters per second. 344 or whatever the speed of sound is, 340 meters per second, it is very slow compared to the speed of light. Speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Means light travels at 3 lakh kilometers per second. Right? Okay, so light travels infinite very fast compared to sound. So that means what? Whenever there is a lightning strike, okay, there will be a flash and there will be a sound. Okay, so you will see the flash almost instantaneously, right? But depending upon the distance of the lightning strike from your location, right, the sound will travel at 344 meters per second. So it will take quite a long time. If the lightning strike happens to be at several kilometers, right, the sound wave will take several seconds to reach you, right? That is what is the question. Let us read the question again. Nita heard the sound of lightning 4 seconds after seeing it. What was the distance of the lightning from her? They have given one fact. Velocity of sound in air is 340 meters per second. Okay. So we assume let the distance between Nita and the source of lightning be x. Okay. So speed of sound in air is 340 meters per second. Time taken by the sound to reach Nita is 4 seconds. So therefore, we can calculate distance is equal to velocity of sound multiplied by time. That is 340 meters per second multiplied by 4, that equals to 1,360 meters. That means the distance of lightning from Nita was at a distance of 1,360 meters. This you can do at your home also, right? Just during the monsoon, you can sit in the window, right, and just wait for a lightning to strike. Okay, but make sure that is a stormy day. Okay, during monsoons, we don't get lightnings here in Mumbai every day. Okay, so it should be a very stormy weather. Okay, and then you can just after seeing the flash, right, just start counting the seconds till you hear the loud bang of the lightning. Okay, and then you can do the math according to this and calculate how far. So, but of course, it is going to be an approximate value because your measurements won't be that accurate, right? Fine. So let us go to the next numerical. Exercise numerical 5C. Now what do we have here? Now Sunil is standing between two walls. The wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters. Okay. If he shouts, he hears the first echo after 4 seconds and the another echo after 2 seconds. So this is an example of an echo. So you can say that Sunil is standing. There is one wall on his left hand side, one wall on his right hand side. Okay. You don't know the distance exactly where Sunil is standing. Okay. But when Sunil shouts, okay, he gets the first echo after 4 seconds. Okay. And the second echo after 2 more seconds. That means the second echo will be getting after 6 seconds. Okay. So what are they asking? What is the velocity of sound in air? And second, what is the distance between the two walls? Right. So first of all, let us calculate the first velocity of sound. Solution number 1. Time to hear the first echo is 4 seconds. Distance traveled by the sound in these 4 seconds will be what? 360 multiplied by 2. Okay, because this the echo will travel double the distance, right? Okay, then so speed of the sound is equal to what? Distance upon time. So distance is equal to 360 multiplied by 2 divided by the 4. Okay, now why have we taken 4 seconds and why have we taken 360? The 360, what they have given, the wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters. That means the first echo that he hears is after 4 seconds, right? And why have we multiplied 360 by 2? Because the sound will first travel from him to the closest wall at 360 meters. And then after reflecting from that wall, it will come back to him, right? So it will be 360 multiplied by 2. Okay, and divided by the total time interval, that is 4 seconds. So the velocity of sound in air we get as what? 180 meters per second. Okay, then next part, solution number 2. Time taken to hear the second echo is 4 seconds plus another 2 seconds, that is 6 seconds, right? So distance traveled in this 6 seconds will be twice the distance, 2x. We have taken that distance as x. Okay, the speed of the sound in air is what? 180 meters per second. Therefore, travel 2x is equal to speed multiplied by the time, that equals to 1080 meters. So 2x is equal to 1080 meters. Therefore, x will be 540 meters, right? So the given fact to you is what? The closest wall is at a distance of 360 meters, right? As you have seen here, 360 meters. The second wall we have calculated now to be at a distance of 540 meters, right? Now the second question, what have they asked? The distance between the two walls. So we have to just add up the two values. So therefore, the distance between the two walls is 360 meters plus 540 meters, that equals to 900 meters. Okay. Now let us look at the next numerical, which is an extra numerical, which is not there in the textbook, but just for our understanding, we are taking these examples. What is the question? A person fires a gun standing at a distance of 55 meters from a wall. So you can imagine a person is standing and there is a wall in front of him at a distance of 55 meters and he fires a gun. So when a person fires a gun, it will create a loud bang. Okay. Now, if the speed of the sound in air is 330 meters per second, find the time for the echo to be heard. Okay. Now for the echo to be heard, the sound has to travel from the gun to the wall and then back again to the person who is holding the gun. So distance will be double of that 55 meters. So given distance is sound in air is 330 meters per second equals to distance upon time, that equals to 2s upon t. Now we have taken 2s. Why? Because the distance travel should be double for an echo to be heard, right? So therefore, time required is equal to 2s upon v. That is equal to 2 into 55 divided by 330. That is equal to 110 divided by 330. That equals to 0.3 seconds. So the time required for an echo to be heard is 0.3 seconds. That means if you are standing in front of a wall, which is at a distance of about 55 meters, right? You will get an echo around in about 0.3 seconds. Okay. Then. Again, one more extra numerical. A sound wave has a frequency of 2 kilohertz and a wavelength of 40 centimeters. How long will it travel? How long will it take to travel 1.6 kilometers? Now, this is again similar numerical to the first one that we had solved. Okay, so first of all, we'll write down the given along with the convergence. So first variable given is what? The frequency. So frequency nu equals to 2 kilohertz. We know 1 kilohertz is equal to 1000 hertz. So 2 kilohertz will be 2 into 10 raised to 3 hertz, or you can write 2000 hertz. Okay, then wavelength lambda is given to us as 40 centimeters. We need to convert it to meter. We know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So whenever you convert any quantity from centimeter to meter, you have to divide it by 100. So that will be 40 divided by 100. That equals to 0.4 meters. Then the distance traveled is given as 1.6 kilometers. We know 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. That equals to 1600 meters. Now, what they have asked is to calculate time required. Okay, so speed of sound equals to frequency into wavelength. That is V equals to nu into lambda, right? So nu equals to 2 into 10 raised to 3 and lambda is 0.4. So we have first calculated the speed of the sound, right? Because if we need to calculate time interval, we need to know the speed, which is not given here. So we have first calculated the speed. That is equal to 2000 multiplied by 0.4. That equals to be 800 meters per second. So sound, the speed of sound in this case is 800 meters per second, right? Then time equals to distance upon speed. We know the formula for speed is equal to distance upon time. So time will be equal to distance upon speed. The distance that they have given is 1 kilometer, 1600 meters divided by the velocity or speed of sound that we have calculated above is 800 meters per second. So that comes out to equal to be 2 seconds. So that means what? That means what? It will take 2 seconds for the sound to travel 1.6 kilometers. So you need to put it in the form of a statement, right? So thus we have concluded the chapter, right? Does anyone have any doubt to ask? Yes, students. Yes, bolo, Sai Shri and Sai Prasad. Unmute and ask. Yes, students, any doubts you have? Speak out, come on. Yes, bolo, Bharti. Yes, speak out, unmute and ask the question.
Sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, bolo, beta.
Sir, can you show all the exercise numericals again? I want to take a screenshot of all the.
Okay, fine. I will put it on the screen. Okay. Any other question anyone has to ask?
No, sir.
Okay, so I will put on the presentation again. You can just take a screenshot.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Just a minute. Huh?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you can take the screenshot now.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, next one. That is 5B. Then this is 5C, right? This is 5C ka first part, and this is 5C second part. Okay.
5 years.
Okay, have you taken the screenshot? Okay. Anyone has asked any other question?
No, sir.
The exam में numericals आते हैं.
हाँ. Hello. The exam you will get numericals very similar to those numericals that we have solved. Okay. So the solved numericals which are there and the exercise numerical which are there, you have to solve those, practice those. Okay. And also, जो extra numericals that I had taken, you can get numericals of that form only. इसी type के आपको numericals आएंगे. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes.
हेलो सर.
बोलो बेटा.
सर एग्जाम में न्यूमेरिकल्स आएगा?
आएंगे बेटा, आएंगे न्यूमेरिकल्स आएंगे. जो सी आपको देखना है, पहली बात मतलब यू हैव टू लुक इनटू द टेक्स्ट बुक, ओके, एंड मार्क स्ट्राइक आउट जो सिलेबस आपको नहीं है, ओके। आस्क योर स्कूल टीचर टू प्रोवाइड यू विद द पीडीएफ जहां पर मार्क किया गया है कौन सा सिलेबस ओमिटेड है, ओके। उसको छोड़ के जो कोई भी सिलेबस आपके बुक में है वो आपको एग्जाम में आ सकता है, ओके, ठीक है। सो हमने जो द न्यूमेरिकल दैट वी हैव स्टडीड टुडे, दे आर देयर इन द एग्जामिनेशन, ओके।
Thank you, sir.
ओके, यस श्वेता यादव।
सर कौन कौन सा लेसन आने वाला है साइंस 1 और साइंस 2 में?
बेटा वो आपको सिलेबस जो है वो आपके स्कूल टीचर्स इन्फॉर्म कर देंगे बिफोर द एग्जामिनेशन। जो सेकेंड टर्म का सिलेबस जो है वो आपको दिया जाएगा, ओके।
ओके सर,
ओके बेटा,
थैंक यू सर।
सर,
थैंक यू, ओके। यस मैडम।
एग्जाम्स ऑनलाइन होंगे या ऑफलाइन?
बेटा वो भी आपको इन्फॉर्म किया जाएगा, अभी तक कुछ भी कंफर्म नहीं है। एज द सिचुएशन इज वर्सनिंग नाउ, जो कुछ भी ओके।
Yes, sir. Thank you.
यस मैडम।
Yeah, thank you, sir. And
Yes,
have a
thank
nice day.
थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you, students, for connecting, and see you all tomorrow. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye. Take care.